If you've ever wondered what the inside of a hollow core door looks like, you're about to find out. I removed the door from the hinges and removed all of the door lock hardware. The next step was to go ahead and cut the door with a table saw. I sanded down the rough edges left from the table saw and then measured and cut my 1x2s to the height of the door. And I attached these to the inside of the door using a pin nailer. Once that was done, I used construction adhesive and some more nails to attach the 1x2s along the edge. Now I've got 2 door halves set up and ready. I happened to have some leftover beadboard, and so I decided to just turn this over and use the smooth side. I secured those in place using construction adhesive and the pin nailer. Once those were in place, I could hang the door and get a good look at everything. The next step was to paint. I added a few coats to make it look uniform, and I did caulk between the trim pieces and the door itself. Finally, I added some long handles, and my door was ready for use. It stays together and tight when closed. This project could also be used on a pantry door or linen closet door really nicely. You won't believe how $3 and $20 took this common 1980s eyesore and turned it into a modern-day beauty. So I removed the door and took it outside. I cleaned the mirrored surface several times. I sprayed a black spray paint primer and paint all in one along the outside of the door to cover up the gold sections. I noticed I could scrape the paint easily from the surface when I used the glass cleaner. My next step was to use tape to divide my surface into sections. Since I was using a spray, there was going to be overspray that was going to go past the strips of paint. So I used this tape with an attached piece of like plasticky tarp kind of stuff to help get better coverage in the area. The product I used was a frosted paint spray. The best part was, of course, peeling off the tape when it was done. The lines were crisp and I felt like the door looked a lot more modern. I love the way the door looks in the room. First, I removed the hinge pins from the door and moved the door into my workspace. I got rid of the old door hinges and doorknob as well. Then I filled in all of those gaps with sandable wood filler. For the large hole left by the doorknob, I used a little trick where I stuffed a bit of paper towel into the hole, then covered that with putty. I need to add length to my interior door. I measured and cut my 2x2s and affixed them to the top and bottom of the door. Time for me to start working on the decorative part of the door. Using the 1x4s, I measured the length of the door and made my cut. I attached the wood to the door using liquid nails. Once everything was in place, I used a nail gun to secure it all. I like to apply a line of caulking and then gently run over it with my finger to smooth it into place. I started working on setting up my barn door track hardware. Painting was next. The putty was now dry and I used sandpaper to smooth it. I used my caulking gun again, this time to fill in the gap between the original door and the decorative pieces that were added. Once that was dry, I painted those. I attached the barn door hardware and hung my repurposed door. I love the way this barn door looks, and since I only had to purchase the wood and a little bit of sandable wood filler at the end, it only cost me $42 plus the hardware.